Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel where we share stories from around the world. Today I have a very special story for you that I hope will help you gently fall asleep. It's the story of Dangun, the origin story of Korea that explains how the Korean people came to be. Now as a kid, I was obsessed with this myth, so it means a lot to me personally to finally get to share it here. Let's jump right into it. In the beginning, there were only two realms, one above the ground, the realm of humans, and one below the ground, the realm of the gods. The gods lived in the center of the earth, far beneath the mountains and rivers. They lived in a place called Yurabong, which is the name for the belly of the earth. Sometimes they would climb up through the mountains and rivers and sneak peeks at what the humans were doing. But for the most part, they liked to keep to themselves and only meddled in human affairs when absolutely necessary. Now, despite being all-powerful, the gods had one fatal flaw, which was that they were incredibly lazy. They would spend their days playing games like hide-and-seek or rolling giant rocks up and down hills just for fun. And whenever they got bored of a game, they would just poof. And then that game would disappear, and a new game would magically appear for them to play. This happened so often that after a while the gods literally had no memory of anything they had ever done. Couldn't even remember their own names. One day the gods were playing a game of hide-and-seek, and the great god Jinmu, who was also the god of light, hid in a cave near the top of a mountain. After all the other gods had found their hiding spots, the great god Jinmu waited patiently for the others to start searching for him. But he waited, and eventually he started to get really bored. See, even though he was a god, he still wasn't immune to boredom. In fact, since he was usually the seeker in the game, he got bored way more often than anyone else. So one time during the game, when he couldn't stand being bored anymore, he decided to create something new. He climbed out of his hiding spot and took a handful of dirt, and he started molding it. He made it into a ball, and then he blew on it until it grew into a huge tree. Then he made a palace out of its roots, complete with golden walls and pillars. It was so beautiful. The great god Jinmu loved it. But before he could even show it to the other gods, poof, he forgot all about it. Unbeknownst to him, though, a young woman named Unyuno was passing by. She saw the tree and immediately fell in love with it. She climbed up its branches and moved into its hollow trunk. She didn't know it at the time, but that tree was actually a magic beanstalk that connected the realm of the gods to the realm of humans. And Unyuno was the first human to ever find it. She used the tree as a ladder to climb up to the palace in the clouds. Inside, she found delicious food and golden jewelry. But most importantly, she found a talking tiger. The talking tiger told her, "You shouldn't be here. This is a dangerous place. You should go home." But Inyang did not want to leave. She wanted to stay in the palace and enjoy its luxuries forever. But the tiger insisted, so eventually she agreed to go home. On her way down the beanstalk, she picked some fruit from a magical peach tree, and then she hurried back to her village. As soon as she arrived, she shared the delicious fruit with everyone. And after they ate it, something amazing happened. 9 months later, each woman gave birth to twins, boys and girls. That meant that in a single day, the whole village went from having no children to having an entire new generation. Soon, the village became too crowded, and there was not enough food for everyone. So the villagers decided to split up and explore the world in search of new lands to live on. But just as they were about to leave, the chief's son, named Dangun, fell into a deep sleep. The villagers panicked, tried shaking him, they tried yelling at him, but nothing woke him up. Eventually, the great god Jinmu, who had secretly been watching over the humans, came down from the heavens and saw what was happening. He knew that Dangun was destined to become the king of all the humans, but in order to fulfill his destiny, he needed to wake up. So the great god Jinmu waved his magic wand and created 3 incredibly beautiful women and brought them to Dangun's side. And lo and behold, as soon as he saw these beauties, Dangun woke up. Then the great god Jinmu spoke to Dangun and said, "You are destined to be the king of all humans, but in order to do that, you must go on a quest. At the end of your journey, you will find a magical herb called the water of life. Bring it back with you and use it to water the tree that your ancestor, Unyuno, climbed. That tree is actually a magic beanstalk that connects the realm of the gods to the realm of humans. And if you water it with the water of life, it will grow into a towering mountain that will serve as the home for your future kingdom." Dangun bowed to the god and set off on his quest. He traveled across the land for many years, braved harsh deserts and snowy tundras, crossed raging rivers, and scaled sheer cliffs. Finally, he spotted a beautiful field filled with lush vegetation. In the middle was a pool of sparkling water, and at the edge stood a small cottage. Dangun approached the cottage cautiously, and suddenly a beautiful woman came out of it. She smiled warmly at Dangun and invited him inside. She fed him delicious food and gave him a place to rest. For a moment, Dangun felt a sense of relief and gratitude. For the first time in years, he felt like he could take a break from his long and difficult journey. But he knew that he couldn't stay there forever. He had come too far to turn back now, so with a heavy heart, he said goodbye to the woman and continued on his way. After a few more days of walking, he finally saw it, the magical herb. It was unlike any plant he had ever seen before. Its leaves were a vibrant green, its flowers were a brilliant blue, and its roots were said to glow with an ethereal light. As he reached out to pluck the herb, a deep voice boomed, "Who dares disturb the water of life?" Startled, Dangun turned around to see a ferocious tiger blocking his path. The tiger snarled, its eyes flashing with anger. "Only those who are pure of heart and strong of will may claim the water of life," the tiger said. "Are you worthy, Dangun?" Dangun knew that this was a test. He had faced many challenges on his journey, but this was by far the greatest. He had to prove not only his strength, but also the purity of his intentions. Taking a deep breath, Dangun replied, "I am on a sacred mission to bring the water of life back to my people. I will not be deterred." The tiger studied him for a moment, trying to determine his true character. Finally, it nodded its head and stepped aside, allowing Dangun to approach the water of life. With trembling hands, Dangun plucked the herb from the ground and cradled it close. As he turned to leave, the tiger spoke again. "Beware, Dangun, for the path ahead is fraught with peril. You must remain vigilant if you wish to succeed in your quest." Dangun thanked the tiger for its guidance and continued on his way. He had the water of life in his possession, and that meant that his journey was almost over. All he had to do now was return to his people and plant the tree. When Dangun returned to his village, he was greeted as a hero. People had been worried sick about him, and they were overjoyed to see that he had returned safely. Dangun wasted no time, gathered all the villagers, and explained what he had learned on his quest. He told them about the tiger and the importance of remaining vigilant. Then he led them to the clearing where the tree was planted. With everyone gathered around, Dangun took the water of life and watered the tree. Immediately the tree began to grow, its roots spreading out and taking root in the ground. The villagers watched in awe as the tree grew taller and taller, eventually reaching the heavens. It became known as the Tree of Life, and it served as a reminder of Dangun's courage and determination. From that day on, Dangun's people thrived. They lived in peace and harmony, and they always remembered the lessons that Dangun had taught them. Dangun became known as the founder of their nation, and his legacy lived on for generations. And that, my friends, is the story of how Korea was founded. I hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as I enjoyed sharing it. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe for more stories. Until next time, dream well and sleep tight.